In this video, Blair Wheeler and our host Mike Billingsley discuss influencer golf matches on YouTube and advice for golfers who are trying to improve using golf videos and tips.
Welcome back to Golf Life. I'm joined by Blair Wheeler. Now, Blair, about 10 years ago, I'm kind of an older guy, so when we talked about golf media or media personalities, it was typically somebody that was with a magazine or maybe some TV that way. These days, it's changed dramatically, and you've come into the golf media in a different path. I think it's very interesting. I'd love to share that with our audience today. So welcome to the show, Blair. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the golf media.
Yeah, Mike, thank you for having me. So, yeah, like you said, 10 years ago, typically golf media was a journalist, print magazine from whatever magazine you consumed or a TV show. Now the way that people have consumed media has changed and gone more towards the short form side. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, et cetera. You can call me an influencer, content creator, digital media personality. There's a handful of people doing this. And it's a new world for us, and we're all kind of navigating it together.
Well, and I wanted to establish you as a golf media personality, a golf media expert, because that's what you are, and you've earned that right. You started with Instagram. Talk to me about that, and then kind of how you transitioned into your profession.
Instagram was kind of the first platform that had influencers. I got into it by way of the surf industry. I worked in the action sports industry on the marketing side, just for one of the brands. And we hired influencers to come out to one of our events in 2016. And, when my wife and I moved back to North Carolina, I looked at the landscape in golf and I said, I think I could do this. When I was playing a lot of golf and I was going to a lot of cool places and had a lot of contacts in the industry already, and decided to make a run at it and start posting pictures from, wherever I played in Myrtle Beach or wherever I played here at home in Wilmington or when I would travel to Pinehurst. And it's since taken off from there. And, I had a small following at that time, around 5,000 or 6,000 followers. Now I'm approaching about 250,000 across all platforms. So it's been a fun ride.
We all start a different path, but it's just like getting started, right? You just dive in and you figure it out. I know, in the 90s, I kind of date myself. We had one of the few groups up in Vail that had a beta cam, and we decided to do a ski show. And then one thing led to another. We're like, why don't we go do a golf show? And we go to golf courses and start shooting them. But then you start to say, okay, this is for real. Now I'm going to make some money doing this and make it a profession and start working for companies and creating video and things of that nature. Is that kind of the similar path, only utilizing the digital media as you've done?
Yeah, that is a very similar path. I saw the opportunity I didn't have kids at the time. I was freshly married. I just wanted to play nicer, better golf courses and maybe go on a trip here and there and maybe get a free golf club. And it's since turned into a full-fledged career. And it's to a point now where, my account and people like me, influencers, we are getting more views than PGA Tour players. And people recognize us more so than they recognize, the 60th ranked player on tour. It's crazy that I go to these tour events now and people are stopping me and asking me for my autograph. I'm like, dude, I got to go back to work. I'm not anybody. You don't want my autograph.
What do you do as the profession side? What is your primary focus? How are you making a living with golf as a golf media professional?
So it's multifaceted. There is the brand side, partnering with brands like myself. I work with Johnny O, Mizuno, Stitch Golf. So I partner with them and help tell their brand stories through my voice. Then there's the event aspect. Events or resorts or locations would hire me to come out and showcase their event or activation or resort through my channels and through my experience.
I know that you're a young father. It's a difficult balance, I know, because I went through it, and I decided to be a coach as well of several sports. And I got really into that. And keeping your game sharp at the same time, it's an all-in kind of commitment. But just kind of how do you navigate that?
Yeah, my wife is a saint, right? She understands that this is my job. As far as keeping my game sharp, I get to practice maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, a little bit more now because I'm trying to really lock in on for some things coming up.
When you go to these properties, whether it's for an event, representing different brands and whatnot, or being involved with what you guys do on the social media side. What's your advice to people, in terms of like planning their trips so that they can get their work in and also get their play in, and how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what your job is, right? Like, I always try to work half days because I work remote. Like, I have a real job. So I typically work half days, or I work quarter days, and I'm just transparent and let them know, like, hey, this is what I worked this week. Like, people ask me all the time, like, are you ever going to not have a full-time job or not have, something that you're doing on top of social media? And I look at them and I say, maybe one day it's either feast or famine in the social media business, and you could be making good money or no money. And there's no in between, really. And it could go away tomorrow. Like, the media landscape could change again, and this whole thing could stop.
I could tell you from 30 plus years of experience, like, for example, with ski TV, when we decided that we were going to stop the ski show for a while, I always thought I'd get back to it. And I do get on the mountain from time to time. That's about as close to the ski industry as I get anymore. So yeah, it's a constant game to keep up with, and good on you to being able to do it. We have seen some amazing things happen in the golf space. It started with, kind of young guys playing like events, and before you knew it, other influencers were creating these kind of pop-up events, if you will. I just kind of want to go over that landscape for our viewers and describe what's happened out there. And if they are not familiar with it, it's wild what's happened. Can you kind of talk to us about that a little bit? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, there's massive followings on YouTube, right? There's the Brian Bros, Good, Rick Shields. I don't have any problem calling those guys out because I'm fans of theirs too. I like their content. And, those guys would all play each other to get different audiences into each other's content, right? That's cross-pollination of audiences. And it led to different events where, a Good would play Barstool Sports the golf podcast. And then that was a natural progression into like actual events where they invited influencers to come play. And then the PGA Tour got involved, and they had the Creator Classics, and they've had 3 of them so far. They had one at East Lake last year before the Tour Championship, one at TPC Sawgrass before the Players, and then one most recently at the Truist Championship up at Philadelphia Cricket Club. And unfortunately, I've not been invited yet. So if the PGA Tour is watching, or an invitation to one of those.
He's got his hand up, folks.
Raise my hand. But so typically they invite creators or influencers to go play, and then, show that to their audiences. The success of it has been wild. Everybody has loved it so far. It's been massively successful in terms of views and content creation and all that kind of thing. Now, Barstool Sports has unveiled their next iteration of this as the Internet Invitational. So I don't know what the actual format is. I don't know how many people are invited, but I mean, it's a really cool concept where, we are not professional golfers. And I think that's what is the success of these things. People like the relatability aspect. You don't know if the guy on the tee who is me, I'm a 9 handicap. You don't know if I'm going to slice it into the woods. You don't know if I'm going to blade my wedge over the green because, I may be a good player in terms of the golf standard, but then you start playing in front of people and you start playing in front of cameras and you get those nerves going. And then for the Barstool Sports event, it's for $1 million. So you get those nerves of money going that typically, we don't have because I play for like $100 at home. It's a really cool concept to put normal people, average players into these pressure situations and see how they react. And I think that's the relatability aspect of it that people like. And that's why it's been so successful for these influencers and content creators who are played in these events.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I mean, I remember back in the 90s or something, I was sitting with a very successful sports TV guy. He had created all kinds of big TV shows and specials, and I'm like, what do you think about the idea of like having this guy play these guys? And he's like, nobody wants to watch amateurs play golf. Like, what are you talking about? And that was the case for many years, and it is kind of stunning because, to your point, now it almost seems like some of these guys are getting more views than the tour, which is crazy, and they're not watching the tour. Why do you think that is, and what is that? I guess that's why some of these tours are embracing it, because they're like, God, what do we do about this? It's kind of wild, you know?
So yeah, I think the tour and Live and all these other golf media outlets are kind of scrambling, because when you're watching these creators play, and something that I try to do is show off your personality, because that's what becomes endearing to the viewer, right? Showing the personality, showing the ups and downs of the round.
You think that's really what's drawing people in now to our game, especially younger people, but also older guys saying, wow, that's what golf's really like? I want to do that. And it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I think there's that boom in golf because people want the experience, right? And we are living on little screens, whether that be in our hand or on TV or whatever. I think it's definitely changing the game and drawing people in, just because people see that and they say, I want that experience. The way that social media and digital media has evolved, we are telling attainable stories that people can look at it, relate to, and say, you know, I could do that. I want to do that. I am going to do that.
Yeah, it's broken down that wall that golf had, this sort of perception-based wall that, you know, golf is stuffy, golf is, you know, I can't go into that place or whatever, whether it's just a public course or a private course. And I see kids out now, you know, playing our courses, and yeah, they're busy. It's harder to get tee times, but that's a good thing. But you can see that they're kind of mimicking the good stuff or whatever, right? They've got these little battles going on and stuff. So I think it's so good for the game, and I'm really excited to see that transition for golf, because we were always talking for years, how do we grow the game? And here YouTube came along and Instagram, and you guys are helping grow the game, so we appreciate that. Your game is something you're always working at. I noticed with your YouTube channel, which you're working on as well, that you're doing a lot of instruction and working with different golf instructors.
I have a coach here in Wilmington. He's great. His name is Nicky Beecroft. He's a PGA certified instructor, and with him and then his performance center that he works at, I've done, you know, a lot of work on my game and had the Breaking 80 series, and will continue to do that because it's super helpful. And I think that, I mean, I can speak for me. I like watching people get instruction who are, you know, average players, because then this may be something I can learn. I don't really get much by watching, you know, Butch Harmon talk about what he's doing with Ricky Fowler. Like, he's chasing PGA Tour titles. I'm like working to play in my club championship and maybe one of these creator events.
I went through the same phase, right? One of the things I learned through the years of working with top 100 teachers is I kind of over years started to accept the instruction that was drill based, right? Because I was hearing when I would work with instructors and they would get into theory or they would get into swing plane or various things and different like positional type instruction, I guess is what I would call it, or, you know, release versus lag, that type of stuff, you can really get lost really fast, I found. And you hear too many different voices in your head when you listen to too many different voices. So what's your thoughts on that experience? Because I know drill-based was really what I leaned into, and when I worked with teachers, we tried to create a lot of content that was drill-based.
Yeah, I'm probably in the worst space for instruction when it comes to golf, because I'll post a video of my swing and I'll have people coming out the yin yang telling me what I'm doing wrong. You know, a 10 handicap of their club, or they're a 20 handicap. They can watch my swing one time or 1,000 times and they know exactly what's going on. They can tell me. So you're right. There's a lot of voices out there. I choose to only listen to a handful that I really trust. One of them is obviously my coach, Nicky Beecroft, and I will listen to my friend Natalie Sheehan, who is a PGA instructor at Pelican Golf Club outside of Tampa, and she has her own show on Golf Pass. And I'm a feel-based player. You can talk to me about theory and what I should do, shouldn't do. Tell me a feel. Tell me I need to have my hands here at impact. Show me what that looks like. Show me what that feels like, and then I have the body mechanics and athleticism to figure that out.
Yeah, that's why I like drills, because it makes you feel. In general, what are your advice to people when they're watching a lot of content? Because I'm sure you have over the years.
The best advice is find a good coach, right? Like, you can watch content all you want. You can view anything online, but it's really, at the end of the day, not going to be applicable to you. Everybody asks me all the time, I'm just getting started in the game. I'm trying to fix this. What are your thoughts? My advice is the same to everybody. Find a good coach you trust and go see him, because talking to some dude online about what's going on in your golf swing probably isn't going to work. So my advice is the same to everybody. Go get a coach.
That is such great advice, and that's always been the advice that top 100 teachers and people I've worked with that have created, great content online, guys like Mike Malaska, who has just a ton of awesome, great content, always said, watch my content and learn the concepts, but have a coach so that you have a reference point, right? Well, thank you so much, Blair, for all your time today. It's been fun to have you on the show and give your insights into digital media and golf media online. Where can people follow Blair Wheeler and keep on top of your game and what you're doing out there in the golf space?
You can follow me on Instagram at Blair Wheeler. It's just my name. And then there's my YouTube, Blair Wheeler Golf. We're going to be doing a lot of instructional video. We have an idea for a series where we do film study, right? I go play 9 holes, and then myself and my coach talk about what we're doing and what we're doing wrong, and try to educate me primarily, because I want to play better golf, but then the viewer too, if they're watching along, as well as the travel vlogs, Dormy Network, and other places that we're planning. And then also my podcast. We have a podcast with myself and DJ Thama called Twosome Podcast. We talk about, what it's like to be a dad and a husband in golf and in this life. And then we have people like PGA Tour player Scott Stallings, Gary Player, and Adam Scott, people that we trust, that we look up to come on and try a little bit of advice to our communities and our followings.
That's awesome. Well, I encourage our viewers to get out there and follow what Blair's doing out there and enjoy it. Blair, thanks for all your time today on Golf Live.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching Golf Live. Make sure you visit golflife.com to gain access to free golf videos and follow us on social media for daily golf content. We'll see you next time.